Hearing none, all in...
Excuse me. I don't know that, on the first matter of the executive session, I don't believe that's the action we took. Did we? To settle?
Wait a second.
Huh?
Take a look.
Executive session of January 9th. Where are you looking?
First page, 4/5 of the way down, board agreed to settle. I don't know that we did. I don't think we did, quite the contrary. We said let it ride, didn't we?
Right.
Huh?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so I
How
think we
did
should
that
hold
get
that
in
one
there?
I don't know, but Mr. Prisco was present. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know.
Well, we could have confused the secretary because we were all over the place.
That could be. So,
So unlike us.
I know, yeah, generally
Do
we're
you
pretty.
want to pass over it, or you want to strike it?
I would
Strike that one.
pass over right now,
Okay,
because we made it, we
Yeah.
came to
Right.
Yeah.
a decision,
right.
and I think that's what should be reflected here.
Mr.
I
Chair,
have that actually written down.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, we're talking about January 9th executive session.
January 9th, executive session,
And it
the
shows- it
last sentence before police department on the first page.
Okay, but it shows Steve and I not present.
No, then it shows that with the time that both of you arrived.
Yeah, you both weren't
The
here
taxi
when we
got you here a
started.
little late.
Right.
Okay. Oh, there, I see it now, okay.
Yeah, I wrote it.
The
wrote it up.
times you arrived are written right below it.
But
Alright,
I
so we're
believe the
gonna-
action that we took is different than what's reflected in the minutes.
Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah,
it's
drastically different.
Yeah, so.
So we didn't agree to do that.
So would you withdraw your motion, Mr.?
I did.
Yes, I withdraw my second.
Boy, we're having a tough night here on these.
Which is,
We'll try again. January 23rd, regular session.
Mr. Chairman, I
Prisco.
move to approve January 23rd, 2012, regular meeting minutes as written.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion by
I
Mr.
think there's a-
Prisco, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion?
Yes. Just need to find it.
Oh, where are you?
I believe I'm on item 14, page 5. And let me just find it. Just a minor correction. The first paragraph where it says ballot language will be available for the February 16, 2012 meeting, which must be signed by the board no more than 35 days prior to the election. I think it must read no less than 35 days. It's the only change. Minor change, but significant.
What number was that again?
Hey, you
Page
can
5,
Right.
item 14, Town
14.
Administrator's
Okay, got it.
Report.
Okay.
Just
Can we approve this motion as amended?
as amended.
Yes.
As amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have,
I'm sorry,
Oh,
you have
I
something
have,
to...
yeah.
That was on the amendment.
Okay, that was just on the amendment? All right.
Was now.
I think we got a new amendment.
Okay. Well,
Where
he
are
calls
you?
it, on page 3, number 12, I think it's supposed to be something different, but number 12, the idea on the employee incentive program that I had recommended, the date that I had requested that it be on the agenda is our second meeting in February. And this says it was supposed to be on the meetings for tonight, but it was the second meeting in February
We
was my
agree, Mr.
request.
Prisco.
So the date of that, I think, is
16th.
16th.
Okay, with those two amendments, are we all set?
Yes.
On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Boy.
Unanimous.
You did it.
Well, we have one more. Executive session of January 23rd.
That's right, we did.
I think it's a very short one.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the January 23rd, 2012 executive session minutes as written.
Motion by Mr. Prisco. Do we have a second? Mr. O'Leary? Yes?
Yes. I
Oh,
second.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Sorry,
hear.
second, yes,
Okay.
sorry. I'm mumbling.
Any changes or?
I think we're good to go on this one.
Good. It's only a few lines. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, now what do we have? We have legal bills for December 2011. 9/11, Mr. Belkonis.
Evening, board members. The board is requested to approve legal bills totaling $5,439.16. To summarize, we have expended to date $34,736. Halfway through the year, we have a remaining balance in the account of $77,774. So the budget is tracking ahead of schedule. We're doing okay with regard to legal fees at this point, and I would recommend the board so approve in the amount of $5,439.16.
Mr. Prisco.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve legal bills for December 2011 in the amount of $5,439.16 as follows. Copeland and Page PC, General, $4,161.16. Copeland and Page PC Labor, $1,278.00 for a total of $5,439.16.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Approve the snow and ice deficit spending. Mr. Belkonis, you want to start with that?
I do. Board members, the finance director has submitted some additional information to you this evening, which shows year-to-date expenditures and encumbrances as of February 7th. And you'll note that the total of encumbrances and expenditures through that date is $203,693. The amount that's set aside for the snow budget is $175,000. So the true deficit as of this date is $28,693.13. If we include encumbrances, which are outstanding purchase orders that have been issued for the purposes of repairs and maintenance, supplies, which consist of sanding and de-icing chemicals, and other charges and expenses, the snow deficit would be $61,680.39. Under the state law, by statute, the board has approved the deficit spending of that account, along with the Finance Committee, which also approves deficit spending of the account. It's one of the few accounts under the general law that you have an opportunity to overexpend. The Finance Director and Public Works Director are also present this evening because there's additional detail which the board has requested that we've provided you with to show how those accounts have been overspent, and then specifically the vendor payments that have been made that resulted in the overspending of those accounts. And we'd be happy to follow up on any questions, give Mr. Carnavale an opportunity to provide the board with additional information at this time.
Thanks, Tim.
Why don't you give me that? I'll just pass that one down there. Save you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dick. Thanks, Dick.
Mr. Delaney asked me to present some information on what historically it's cost us for snow and ice and costs per inch. So the first table that has it, FY02 through I think it's 2 through 11. Through FY6 going forward, that's the money, that's actually the amount reported to the Department of Revenue of what we spent. So it's a hard number, and that's our estimate of the snow. You can see the number ranges all over the place, the cost per inch. Long story short, because of the intensity of a storm or length of a storm, it's not a good measurement of actually what it cost you. And to prove that, the graph, I kind of try to graph it, and it doesn't really have any good correlation. For example, the one storm that's like, one winter is like 20 inches of snow. You notice there's 2 winters had that, there's a $120,000 difference. So it's a very subjective thing.
Well, Dick,
for
when,
that part of it.
I mean, I could see a winter with little snow and a fairly decent expense as a result of road dusting and black ice and things like that. When you're talking, so measurement in inches, I guess doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, but when you go out and do black ice, or even if there's just a dusting on the road, how you don't accumulate that in inches at all, right?
That's part of that. The records I inherited from Dave Hanley, he kept track of every storm, if it's a
No,
dusting.
I'm not talking about the cost, I'm talking about your measurement.
Right, they take measurements in 5 or 6 spots in the town and average it, and that's what they use.
Talking about when you just have ice.
When you have dry ice,
Just
and
ice
I
and
mean,
you have your guys out sanding.
black
Oh.
ice, and
I have records back to 1993 that Dave Hanlon did for every time they went out sanding and salting.
So the cost is in there, but the inches
Right, it wouldn't be
associated with
inches.
them not.
No,
because
this
they
cost,
exist.
if it says,
So it's
it
just
says
a.
ice, no accumulation, they went out and sanded and salted. Just the number that Greg mentioned too, keep in mind, all the October storm response, that's almost $45,000, that was charged to snow and ice. So that number was not charged to the tree department, it was charged to snow and ice. So that, an artificiality in there that makes that number higher.
so in other words, everything required to clear the roads was charged as snow and ice.
Right.
Now, when we file for FEMA for that, right, how do we break that down?
It's all an eligible cost. We would anticipate reimbursement of 75% of eligible expenses, Bob, including snow removal, tree work.
Tree work is also included in that.
They've just declared a disaster, and they're coming out with a criteria, what exactly, as Greg said, it's gonna be for, usually a window of time, they'll grant us 75%.
Sean?
Couple of questions. Regarding all that charge going to snow and ice in October, is that a legitimate category to put it under, is snow and ice, when you're talking about, you're not talking about snow removal, you're talking about
I think we
tree removal.
I think it's
That-
allowable, but for accounting purposes, we just put it somewhere so it would not get lost in the shuffle.
Right, but
Which
when you put it
enhances
on-
us, we get reimbursements. It helps us get reimbursements.
Well,
It's accounted for separately, I mean, let me rephrase that.
well, wait a second. What do you mean accounted for separately? You're telling me you just put it under snow and ice?
As opposed to, we have different road and street accounts, tree accounts, which gets buried with other things. So it's very easily to pull out the numbers for purposes of the FEMA reimbursements.
I don't know if that's an appropriate category to put it under, when you're not talking about treating the streets for black ice, snow plowing the streets. That I can see falling under that category. I don't see tree removal, how you could put it under a snow and ice budget. I could see it coming into some other category in your DPW budget. So I have a concern regarding that. I don't know if anyone can answer the question whether or not that's an appropriate category to put it under. And I have,
Mr. Pelicanes?
I can only tell you, Mr. Selectman Delaney, that that's historically the way that we've
I
handled it. And I'm not saying whether it's right or
I
wrong.
frankly don't care
I understand
historically.
that.
I'm talking about now. Can anyone answer the question in the room whether or not that's an appropriate category to put that expenditure under?
Liz is
Mr. Chair?
standing.
Mr. Chair?
Let Finance Director speak first.
According to the Division of Local Services at DOR, they, prefer only appropriations and expenditures related to the removal of snow and ice. And under that comes the materials to do snow removal, contractors to do snow removal, as well as overtime to your employees to do snow removal. That is their guidance on what should be charged
So
to
would the
snow and ice.
answer to my question be the charge for the October storm? I'm sure some of it was due to snow and ice. We had some snow, even though it was gone in about 12 to 18 hours.
Right.
And I don't know if the charge was broken down where you could separate what was expended concerning tree removal versus snow and ice. I think you got to recategorize it.
So the
based upon-
total was what, 45,000 you said?
45,000 after the initial storm to plow, around 43, 45 after that. So the plowing of the snow itself, that's under snow and ice, but the response after that date, roughly mid-November.
In-
a lot of that cost
As of
was-
now, that's under the category of snow and ice.
Correct.
I don't view that
I
as
don't
being.
have too much of a problem with that, because it was a direct result of that storm.
Yeah, that's.
That storm, which included snow and ice.
But
just with
that
the
activ-
cleanup associated with it, whether it takes you 2 days or 2 weeks.
That activity is not snow and ice related, according to what I'm hearing from
But
DOR.
it was directly related to the storm,
But the
which was
activity-
snow and ice.
But the snow and ice removal that seems to fit under the DOR standard. But
We have a heavy wet snow, and all the branches come down and all that other stuff associated with it, and it happens to melt within 3 days. It's still a result of that storm.
I don't see it appropriate category under snow and ice.
I-
Also, I have a concern where
I personally,